Okay, thank you very much for joining me to this discussion. My name is Maurice Kioko from Daystar University. I'm Senior Registrar in charge of data and academic records, systems, and also adjunct lecturer in computer science. Here I'm here with Abel Muchai, who is my brother, my long-term friend. We have known each other for quite some time. We were in campus together, and we're going to have this discussion about few items, few topics that we've chosen. You can introduce yourself, bro.
Hi, thank you, Morris, for having me. My name is Abel Muchai, Daystar Alumni. Yeah, me and Morris have gone under for a long time. I work for a company called Zimpro Corporation that's in Minnesota, USA, as their ServiceNow administrator. I build in that environment as well. And I'm also the creative director for their philanthropic arm, which is known as Anderson Foundation.
Thank you very much for that brief interview. We're going to kick in to the discussions, and there are few items that I am going to share with you, Abel. Maybe I can. I think
Okay.
probably you already have seen these items because I shared with you before. But let me just share so that
Okay.
you can be able to get the good. Um, Here is this. I'm not sure. Are you able to see that?
Yes, I am.
So the discussion topics is number one, green technology. Second is chatbots. Third is machine learning. Fourth is blockchain. Fifth is IoT, Internet of Things. Sixth is 5G and other advanced wireless technologies. And finally, cybersecurity. So we'll just be picking those things one by one, going one by one, and try to look up at those topics and discuss about them, and also compare the technologies between Kenya and the US. How advanced are they
Mhm.
compared to us? Where are we? Are we somehow catching up with them, or are we stuck? That's what we're going to be discussing here. Okay. So we'll begin with the green computing. Green computing, as we have seen it there, mostly is it's a trending topic nowadays, where we are advised most of the climate is one of the core concerns when it comes to advancement in technologies. We don't want to keep on technologies getting more advanced to a point that it is going to have a negative impact in terms of climate. So when talk about green computing is how are we creating technologies? Are we coming up to technologies that are not affecting our climate? All they have a positive impact on our climate. So you have lived both in Kenya and the US. So can you give us a contrast on how green technology is being implemented there? And also we can also copy, but most of these technologies that are coming from the US, they are the ones which come to Africa. We have not been able to establish our own technologies by ourselves. We just borrow what has been established somewhere else.
Yeah, uh, that's a good comparison level. So the difference the big difference I've seen between Kenya and America, and I'm not too sure if things have changed since I left, but there's something called ITC, which is investment tax credit, and what that does is this is given to persons that they can write off in their taxes if they invest in things which are considered green energy, which is also called clean energy, which is also called eco-friendly. That's the same term we use for all this for green technology. And so what that does is it somehow incentivizes people to invest in green technology, because what happens is, so green technology, because it's kind of new, it's more of a commitment than it is a solution. For example, look at if you want to go get a Tesla, there has to be infrastructure changes. So are they going to build those chargers? Are you going to be okay having to wait about 10 to 30 minutes for your car to charge up? So on and so forth. There's so many different infrastructure changes. Are there enough labor to fix these cars? Are there enough parts? So on and so forth. You look at Kenya. At what point would it be for the government to put electric EV charging stations throughout? Is that a cost? Is the cost worth the? So you find in this country they understand that, okay, we know that this is it's a task, it's a commitment. Therefore, they kind of find ways to soften the blows, to give you tax returns, or give you some money back when you invest in what is considered, green technology.
Yep. Now, let's get it to the homestead level. Let's go not to go all the way far. Does the government recognize what kind of power you are using? The power that you're using, like in those machines that you're using there, do you know where that power comes from? Do you think whether it's clean, or is it coming from force, the coal and the burning of the oils, which now creates a lot of toxin to the atmosphere and a lot of carbon? Do people care where the power which they're using where it comes from?
Well, they care, but then it's to some extent it's like, what can you do about it? Because the government doesn't have a broad blanket solution for you to pick. Do you want to go green energy or this? But what happens is, back to ITC, like in the state of California, they had made some sort of government requirements back in then. I don't know by which year, but for a lot of homestays to be using solar energy. So you find a lot of people are using solar energy, and it's even extreme. In the cases where the solution succeeds, you find people generating their own power and even selling some power back. So imagine having solar energy in domestic houses and making so much energy in the house that you're selling back to Kenya Power. So instead of getting a bill, you get a check. So
That
people literally they do care about it from a homestead level.
that is amazing.
Yeah.
If actually people are able to get it in more power that they can actually sell it back to the service provider, that's actually more interesting. I know the solar energy, it's one of the energies that are termed to be clean in nature, and I believe here in Kenya also people are actually investing much more into solar energy, given that we have the solar 365 days in a year compared to the US, where they don't get too much solar compared to Kenya. So I believe if we are able to venture so much into solar energy, we would be able to go green completely. Now, there's the issue of the carbon. They agreed carbon per human is 3 tons per year. If a human being is supposed to just release 3 tons into atmosphere per year, but we have people who release that 3 tons in a single day. Do you believe that the governments, all the institutions that deal with this kind of control, should come up with a carbon tax, that if you are releasing too much carbon into the atmosphere, you should be able to be charged very heavy tax, because you are the one who is contributing to increase of carbon into atmosphere. If one person is only given 3 tons per year, and you are running a private jet, a cruise ship, a very fast supercar, and all of those things, you probably use 3 tons in a single day. By 365, you have released a lot of carbon into atmosphere. Do you think that there should be regulations, and there should be these people should be forced to go green also? I mean, you can also build their ships, cruise ships that are being built, which are they are green also. They are not releasing toxin in the atmosphere. Also, supercars are becoming green. They are not releasing toxin in the atmosphere. So these rich people, I believe the issue is rich versus those without, because the rich people are the ones who are releasing too much toxins into atmosphere.
Well, true, but I feel like at the end of the day, those systems somehow work, but somehow don't work, because the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Here's what I mean. I have an industry and my carbon footprint is 1,000 times the required. So the government imposes taxes on me. That increases the cost of me to do business. And all I do is to keep my profit, I push the button onto the customer. Hey, before my goods were 20 shillings, now they're 40. So am I really getting hurt? No. You government, you can tax me all you want. If that pushes up my cost of production, my profit margins stay the same. Now, what happens with it is where it becomes admirable is now imagine you're pushing this cost onto the customers, right? It then becomes, although an incentive for you, because okay, already we've increased our price by 10 shillings to cater for this tax thing. But if we internally can fix this problem and reduce our carbon footprint, that extra margin, we might bring it down by 5 shillings, but keep an extra profit. So then it becomes incentive. It becomes an incentive because they say, okay, we have a shield, but within this shield, we can still fix it and still come out on top. So,
Yeah.
businesses always try and cover their footprint, and you can't really hurt them unless you find them, because the tax is something they can factor into their business. But maybe you find them, and then again, you have to realize by the time you're finding them for these things, what alternatives do they have? If you're finding them for using their ships using so much, how should they take their goods from point A to point B? Is that technology available? Is it sustainable? Is it efficient? Is it cost effective? You cannot tell someone not to drive a car anymore. What option do they have?
Okay, I I believe there is a lot of contrast when it comes to these procedures and also the guidelines on who is supposed to be applied to and
Yeah.
who. There's a lot of the debate there. Let's go to the second topic, which is chatbots. There is revolutionization of the chatbots in across the world, where we have this kind of an AI, which I can call it AI, is a kind of artificial intelligence, which seems to be giving a lot of pressure to many companies to come up with kind of a system like that. The Microsoft, they launched their Chat GPT. Then we have Google. They have something called Bard, which has these are technology which have not yet picked. But what is the impact? What do you think is the impact of these technologies into the people who are using technology today?
I think it's positive. I mean, personally, for my line of work, I use the most well-known, ChatGPT, and it's a tool. It's a resource for those who develop. Asking it questions, throwing it code, giving you structures. For those who do research, it can give you research. It can give you analytics. It can give you comparisons. I mean, for me, it feels like a tool. Look at it this way. I might be stretching too far, but look at a calculator as a form of AI. You can very well use your hands and add 1 plus 1 and say it's 2, but that was manually. But you can input it into a device and it'll give you the answer. It's the math is somehow predictive. It doesn't really change, and that's how AI is. Over a period of time, it learns patterns, it learns things, it learns algorithms, and it becomes like a source. So it's almost like the calculator. There are those who are like, no, calculators are cheaters, don't use them, do it manually, and fine. But why should I if we have a system, artificial intelligence, that over time has been programmed to become a tool for us to use? So maybe back in the days, math professionals felt threatened by the calculator because they were like, people won't need us anymore because the calculator came. And that's not the truth. The truth is, it just enhanced your job, you know. So I think chatbots and AI is a really good thing.
There is a worry about some of the careers. People are actually putting their money together to venture in certain careers that they might be deemed useless in the next 10 years if these technologies pick up. Give a good example of a banker Stella, who their job is just to you go there and ask the amount of money you want. They just calculate using the teller machines there, and then they give you the money. So with this kind of AI coming to replace these people are really feel like most of these systems are really taking a lot of jobs into the market. There is a lot of jobs actually. I saw some Twitter tool. Someone just put something on Twitter that there is about 40 kind of specialist jobs that will be deemed, like for example, like consultation. You go to doctors, you consult doctor, and they tell you, oh, doctor, I have some headache here, I have nausea, I'm feeling nauseated. What's the difference going to the chat GPT and then you just say whatever you're feeling, and then it tells you you might be suffering from this and this and this. So if you need a prescription, it will actually going to give you a prescription on what you're supposed to have. You have not gone to any doctor. You have consulted an AI. It has analyzed your whatever you have given it. It has analyzed it and used the data which is there to figure out what might you be suffering from, and then it gives you prescription. So what is the job of consulting a doctor anymore if you can be able to do this, if machine can be able to do that?
Well, so first of all, personally, I believe that there are certain fields that will never fully be taken over by AI, and one of them is the medical field. Case in point, it's possible for you to have, for example, nerve issues, that the pain is over here, but the nerve is on your back. So it doesn't matter how much you tell the AI, only a true doctor knows a pain on the upper left shoulder corresponds to an hurt, and so on and so forth. A. B, it doesn't replace the in-person feel. There's a lot of people who work from home, and during COVID, it kind of brought some sort of depression because humans need human interaction. And that is a very big valuable factor that somehow limits the growth of AI. In addition to that, who controls the AI's thought? Who controls how this AI grows? Who manages the AI? How do you know? How can you trust with your life, with your health, that what this AI said is true? Mm-hmm. In addition to that, there's factors of insurance, there's factors of prescriptions. For example, in America, your medical prescription has to come from a medical facility. You cannot just go and buy certain drugs over the counter that actually you can buy in Kenya. So there's so much systems in place that need human authentication, verification, and authorization that a simple chatbot cannot. Now, can it give you a guided thought process? Yes. Can it help you be more informed so when you go to the doctor, you have set expectations? Yes. But take over that industry, I don't really think so. And that's for a lot of industries as well. Now, there's a difference between, chatbots and AI and technology in general. Case in point, here in the United States, especially maybe in Minnesota, for example, we don't have petrol station attendants. We don't have people who put petrol in your car. When you drive up, you just get out your car, you put your card in, you say how much you want to put, you open, you fill up your own mafuta, petrol. When you're done, you put it back in, you go. Can you say that it's come to take over jobs of, the jobs of petrol people in Kenya? You know what? That's technology as a whole. And what happens with these petrol stations is that job is not skill-based, so to say. There's no professional gas station worker who went and got a degree for that. So my point is, technology as a whole, yes, it's replacing things over time, 100%. But do I feel like AI will obliterate core jobs? I don't think so. Again, I think it'll only enhance them.
Wow, that's explicit as it is, because there's nothing to hide out there. People are really concerned about these technologies and how advanced they are actually, because there is a lot of work has been put there. And also I think also that there is also doctors who have been involved to come up with this kind of data, because obviously when you go to the GPT and ask it about how you're feeling, I believe that data has been fed there by a qualified medical personnel. It can't just be machine knows what you're feeling without having assistance from a human being perspective. So the other thing which we need to talk about is machine learning, which is a concept in computing that just machines able to collect a lot of data and using algorithms in that data to be able to come up with a reasoning factor. Machines are able to identify or project what is going to happen if you give it some data Like you must feed some data, and that data must go through a computer algorithm that have been designed by human being, obviously, and then it can give a meaningful results. Given an example during the COVID time, if actually we had enough data to figure out how the COVID was spreading, machine learning could have been used to figure out how is this disease being transmitted from one point to another, how does it move. But the COVID spread so much across the world because we didn't know what it was. But could we have if we had machines are able to be not really trained, but the data which has been loaded right now, we have enough data to project whether we can be having another pandemic in the future. If that pandemic starts from maybe southern China, then if it starts spreading, we can have system figure out, wow, this thing actually is spreading, and we know this is another pandemic coming. So how far are we in that kind of technology? How are we using? Because these are new trending technologies. Are we there yet?
Well, I think we're not we're not far from it. I think there's a growth. Of course, when it comes to machine learnings, there's three pillars of machine learning. There is supervised, which is more like having the data already there, whereby the result is known. It's like asking a device, "Hey, what's the capital city of Kenya?" It knows Nairobi. It's really not, the data is known, and then it gets feedback from that. And then there's of course the unsupervised, in which it just learns patterns, like you said, algorithms. It learns things. It tries to understand what is going on, what's right. And I think the best one for me that's built, even what I think ChatGPT is built on, is reinforced. And what happens with that is it's unstructured, but it gets feedback from human beings. It's almost like, look at when you're teaching a child, or a child is growing. Every time they do something good, you give them a reward. Every time they do something bad, you give them a punishment. So you've not really told them what to do, but based on the reaction, based on the reward and punishment system, they will be able to understand, okay, so generally things that involve stealing are considered bad generally, and it's able to learn about the way. So that being said, I feel like in America, and I think in Kenya as well, as things develop, machine learning is we're in it, we live in it. You find that the devices and technology we have, even in our local homes, they're trained to learn your pattern. They're trained to predict. They're trained to analyze, and that's really grown the BI&A, the business intelligence and analytics. So they even study patterns of businesses, and it's able to give back reports using Power BI, which is a Microsoft platform, but to allow businesses to become intelligent, to say, hey, did you know that in the last 5 months, 8% of your clients who bought this lived in this area, therefore in this area stock this and that. So it's artificial. I mean, machine learning is practical, and it's used even in our businesses today. So I think, if they do have the right data sets in place and they have the right structure, they can be able to at least maybe not predict but foresee, when the next pandemic would be, or so on and so forth.
So studying on the data, you can actually predict what is going to happen, or you can actually expand your business towards certain direction. If most of your clients are coming from this area, you figure out, maybe I should actually open another branch in that area. That's technically what machine learning is. That's actually you have explained it very well. Thank you very much. Let's move to blockchain. The blockchain, where there is a lot of debate in terms of cryptocurrency. This technology, actually, I know it has moved from either not really in cryptocurrency, it has also gone to the health sector. It is being used in other sector, mostly the blockchain technology, where there is you are actually having a peer-to-peer connection without a third party of the system. Mostly what we are used here in Kenya is like a third party system, where there is always a server somewhere all the time that which monitors, or where you have to request resources from. All the time we have depended so much on a server based system. But I think most of the technology has moved to blockchain systems, and which is being encouraged by most of the companies, especially the financial sector, to move to blockchain. Look at example here in Kenya, you cannot send money unless M-Pesa services are up. Like there is a server somewhere which is running that M-Pesa tool. So what if now we get rid of that server, and I'm able to send money direct to you without any third party being involved? I know there's also a disadvantage to that, because this kind of technology doesn't have a supervised system, and again you lose. There is business structure in that. The guys who have this kind of server system, they are controlling that business. So there will be no money, because there's a transaction fee. There is a lot of money. I mean, it's a huge business. M-Pesa business in Kenya is so big. Just imagine if we were able to get rid of it completely, then the M-Pesa as we know today, it will not be able to grow in that number that they are be growing. But I believe they can also adopt in technology like a blockchain technology. If they were devised to change from what they are, their structure today, they can also move to blockchain. And also, I'm very sure there's also a fee which is charged, but it can't be exorbitant than what they're charging now. And I believe also the banking sector is also trying to adapt to that. No matter how much you fight these kind of technologies, it becomes difficult to fight them. Yet sometimes you have to assimilate with them. So I know the US is much more advanced, and the blockchain there it's being used. There's a lot of people who have ventured in cryptocurrency. I know Kenya, we are people still don't trust these kind of investments yet, the ones which are being run by machines. So people trust to take their money to a bank, where they can grow their interest, as they can actually walk to the bank and ask how much is my interest. So how do we venture into this?
For one, I think, it starts from what you said, the acceptance, awareness, learning, education, and also implementation. It's how you implement it. Certain technologies are not accepted, not because they don't work, but they're not well explained. For example, I know we'll get to this down the line, but when 5G came and they said 5G is causing COVID, and in some countries they brought down the 5G towers, even though it was absolutely irrelevant. But how the technology is presented to the end user matters a lot. And the blockchain concept of data is residing on different machines. It might sound scary, but once they understand how the hashes work and how it's actually much more secure, because you're less prone to hacking, you're less prone to threats, and the transactions are visible, they can be seen. So trust and accountability are open and wide for everyone to see. So I think it's a really, really good thing. And I think it starts with the first step by showing people the advantages, to answer your question, showing people the positives, the cons. This is where we stand to gain. This is the benefits. Because like I said, where you are right now, the device you're using, how your life runs, unless there's a positive alternative, most people are resistant to change because they're scared of change is not really well accepted. So like I said, if you bring out the positives, you help people understand, and even for the businesses that are in it, because as much as, there's a business in M-Pesa, there are businesses that use M-Pesa, and there's a cost attached to it. So my point is, when you come to storage, location, and space, if the data resided on individual devices, you're right, it'll be more secure, because there's not one server sitting waiting to be attacked, or there's not one specific location, and that becomes a benefit. You're like, hey, you know what, M-Pesa, we can push down latency from what it is. We can improve the uptime, all these different things, to where it's not relying on one particular source. It's spread out through a number of devices that have hashes. So that's what I'm saying. I think, the moment we're able to pass that knowledge to the people and show them the benefits and the evaluation and those things, I think it's just a matter of tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree with you, because I know many people have experienced this. Like you are stuck in a gas station, which is petrol station here in Kenya, and you want to pay your petrol, and then you just open your M-Pesa, and then you find it is down. and you don't have any other money, you actually don't. Mostly, I don't know, for myself, I don't carry any coin with me. I just know my money is in M-Pesa. And then you find out this application or this the service is actually down, and then you have to sit there. I don't know for how long. It might be 6 hours or 5 hours until the service is back again. So I believe that if we decentralize these kind of systems and adapt to technologies which are actually better in terms of, because when you have the application and it's being controlled somewhere, that system can fail, and then you just have an application. Most people think that the money is in their phone, so they can actually do everything they want. If that service fails, you cannot access that money. But what if everything was decentralized to a point that you can have your money at any point you are, and the synchronous system can actually be simultaneous across all the systems, just the same way as the Bitcoin works. Then I think we'll be more advanced in terms of how we deal with these scenarios. But we are still waiting to see how it works. I believe in the US, most people have ventured into cryptocurrency, and they're compared to here in Kenya. Because I don't know how many people have been able to join cryptocurrency here, but I believe it's something where people are still scared, wondering whether if I put my money there, what is the chances that I'll grow some money out of it, or will I lose? But people they have not been trained to observe the graphs and look at how the money is. You can actually if you look at the Bitcoin in 2020 December, it was at a peak, the highest point of it. I'm actually wondering the person who put money maybe in January 2020. It was during the pandemic period, the year where the pandemic was actually creeping. I'm just imagining the person who put money in January 2020, how they were able to grow 5 times what they put in December. I mean, it is unpredictable, but it's the only best way to go in the future. I don't think we have other opportunities. We might venture into this kind of investments, and that's why there have come many of them. There's Bitcoin, there's Ethereum. They might keep on growing if many other investors, they want to change their whole investment structure from the way they were being doing it traditionally to change it to a decentralized system. Anyway, that is something we are going to watch out for. It is still something that we don't know so much about here in Kenya, but we are learning about it, and we are looking into the people who have been able to invest in that technology, and maybe someday we'll be actually talking about it and saying that we actually made it. We changed the whole platform, and we are doing very well. Okay, that was all about cryptocurrency. Yeah. Let's talk about IoTs, the Internet of Things. I mean, there's a lot of devices which are coming. There's smart devices all the time. You walk to your building, somebody's building, the lights, they go on. It just sends that. It senses that you are present. You actually get home and the TV goes on. It has just sensed you have just walked home. What is the security? I know we'll talk about cybersecurity. What about the security about these devices? We have cameras which are being built with a smart door. People just call them smart doors. The camera is embedded together with the door, so you can get an alert if someone just walks into your door when you are not around. You can be able to check on your phone and see who has walked in, or who is trying to knock in my door when I'm not around. And you can be able to see that person and talk to them, tell them I'm not around, I'm not at home today, I have gone somewhere, I'll be back at this time. So these kind of technologies, somehow they are new in Kenya. Many people are putting on these kind of devices for security purposes and also for monitoring purposes. Also, they are fancy too to have them. And they also have gone to the Medicare, where you can have a smart devices which are implanted in your body. What security about them? Do you believe they have? Are they good for us? Do they have good security? Should we be worried about someone maybe watching you while you are at home? Because obviously this thing it is a smart, it can be accessed by through internet by anybody across the world. Should be worried about that?
I think that the general concern, I think the main concerns are, like you said, security, um, data privacy, or even just privacy in general, and also who owns this data. Okay, all the data these devices are collecting,
Mm-hmm.
Alexa collects this, my car collects that, this building, who owns this joint data? Who manages? Who's in charge of all this information? And those are some of the issues it brings. However, um, like I said, it's in the aim to make the human life more efficient, more effective, more seamless, more intelligent. You find those are some of the growth pains we're going to have. Security will always be an issue. Personally, I have a couple of devices that I have, and there is also a bit of geofencing involved. So you can have certain geofences set up, which are virtual geographic fences. So when you're driving, for example, close to your house, if you're 10 minutes away, it can turn on the lights, it can switch on the heaters, it can start the coffee machine for you, so on and so forth. But these are interconnected devices that are sharing information about you. For example, your location, where you are, all these things. Of course, it's always going to be the safety element. The moment certain devices know information about you, are collecting information about you, are constantly listening. Alexa has, oh, I hope it doesn't hear. Alexa has devices that
You just mentioned Alexa so
are
loud.
able to
You mentioned Alexa so loud, might be listening to
say
you
what?
now.
Yeah, and the lights in this room are controlled by my Alexa, so sometimes when I say it might turn off the lights. But when you even say things like, "Oh, I'm out of juice," Alexa can put uh, the juice you usually order in an Amazon cart and process the order. So they're listening to you, you know, and that's the thing. And we
So
even talk about even social engineering about people say, "Oh, I was on the phone talking about getting new shoes. Now I go on Facebook, it's showing me new shoes. I'm seeing new shoes. People, advertisements. Those are things that happen. It might be social based, but they're interconnected. Maybe it overheard a conversation. We have Siri, we have Bixby, we have Alexa, we have all the tools right now that are able to have conversations with us that can listen in. And the thing is, yes, it hears when you say, "Hey, Google or whatever." But the question is it listening before? How sure are you that it's not a content listening device? So, of course, there's all these things. We talk about the new Apple Watches, for example, the new iPhones that have fall detection, that have crash detection. The moment you fall, it'll send your location to image. So, as much as it's good, these interconnected devices are always going to evolve. The intention is good. The intention is to make our lives easier, to make them more seamless, but at the cost of the security element.
yeah, yeah, that is a really a gray area when it comes to these devices, because I believe that even like in the
Mm.
medical area nowadays you can get a smart face maker, the one which is just going to monitor your heart, how your heart is pumping blood, and that the doctor can actually access it wherever he is across the world so long as he has internet, because this device is smart. It's able to connect to the wireless, and the doctor will be able for some reason they are doing good job, because if there is any kind of a problem, it will send a signal immediately to the doctor, and the doctor will send an emergency rescue to before any problem occurs. But I really wonder all these kind of devices we have in our cars, smart driving, where you can monitor the lanes. We have had incidences of where these devices have failed, and then all of a sudden the car which is supposed to drive itself, it causes an accident, and someone dies because of that. I mean, at what cost is it? Are we supposed to trust these devices so much and assume that they're also learning? And are they learning with are they doing experiment with us as human beings? I don't know, but this is a technology which have not yet come to. Yes, we are importing cars with kind of technology, but there are very few roads in Kenya which you can drive with kind of technology like that. Maybe you cruise to a main highway, but you go to certain roads where there is no lane. I don't think that technology will work. So I believe we are getting to there, but we need to be much more careful with these kind of devices. Don't trust them so much. Don't put too much trust on them. Don't just let the car drive you without, and then you sleep. You don't know what might happen. Anything can happen on the road which that device is not able to see. I don't know. I mean, we have had scenarios which are very much well explained on the internet of someone died driving a Tesla, which is presumed to be very secure. I know what you mean. I know what I mean. You've been there and you have experienced these things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And that's why when we were talking about chatbots, it's going to be very hard for it to completely take over human, because remember, that smart machine, whatever machine it is, it has a capacitor, it has a power supply, it has this, it has that. If you unplug this computer from the wall, it doesn't matter how intelligent it is, it cannot go plug it back in. So regardless of what happens, there's always going to be the need for human interaction, regardless of what happens, because at some point, they can be very, very effective, but when they're not working, they could be very detrimental, like the Tesla case you gave.
Mm. The next topic is on 5G and any other wireless in advanced technologies. But one thing I figured out is that looking at 5G today, I was just looking at the data, which is it's in on this speedtest.net. You'll find that the 5G map doesn't have a lot of things in Africa. It is not well implemented in Africa, but it's much common in the other worlds. It has been implemented mostly in US, in UK, and in other countries in Asia. In Africa, you look at the data, it doesn't look very well implemented. In Kenya, we have just few towns, maybe Nairobi, Machakos, Kisumu, and that's all, and Kiambu. That is all the areas you can actually get just some 5G network. What is the impact of it to us? Do we really need it so much? Because looking at the speeds that we have right now on 4G, 4G can give us up to 100 megabytes per second, which is still very fast. Looking at our normal structure here and our internet speeds, getting 100 MB per second, it's a lot. If you are that is depends on which range. If you are near the mobile tower, you'll get at least 80 to 100 megabytes per second. If you move further, you can get about 30, 40. Still a lot of bandwidth. Now 5G coming in to give us about 10 times what 4G is giving us. At what cost? Because looking at the cost of internet here in Kenya, it is still very high. Honestly speaking, the internet is still high. And then we are coming here to get about 600 megabytes per second on a technology that we are used to less than 100 megabytes per second. And we have been able to survive with that very much okay, and we are good with that. Is there any pressure? What is the pressure of having this 5G? Is it really necessary to have it? Because at 600 megabytes per second to almost 1 terabytes per second, who is going to use that? What are you going to be using it for? Me personally, what am I going to be using that speeds for? If it's something which I have to stream online, The maximum I need is 10 megabytes per second to stream a 4K video. Now 600 megabytes per second, I don't know. Then we have now also these advanced wireless technologies. Like now Elon Musk is launching all these satellites across the world, and these satellites are going to be now sending internet to the remote areas of across the world. Only thing you need to buy is that as a receiver. That receiver is very expensive, by the way, come to think about it. And you is trying to send cheap internet across the world. Yes, you'll be getting about 50 megabytes per second if you have that device. I don't know what is the cost per month, but I know that device is, it's about, if I looked online, the device is about 50,000 Kenya shilling, 50 to 60,000 Kenya shilling, just to buy something which looks like a DSTV, to receive signal, which will be paying about 10,000 every month to have a 50 megabytes per second. I don't think logically these people understand that kind of system in these remote worlds in Africa. Paying for internet for 10,000 shillings is a lot of money, honestly speaking. 10,000 Kenya shillings a lot of money for internet. As a homestead, if it's a business, they well are good. So these kind of technologies, are they really important? They keep on advancing. Maybe soon we'll be hearing 6G. I don't know how fast 6G is supposed to be, but who needs this kind of so fast internet speeds, yet we are not using them? Yeah, okay, that is just my opinion. Maybe there's someone who needs like 1 terabytes per second. I don't know what they are transmitting. Maybe I don't know what they are uploading online or they are downloading. But for me, I feel like 10 megabytes per second is enough for me as an individual.
So one thing to remember, when they're developing these technologies, they're not thinking about domestic. That's not their first priority. They're thinking perhaps security, military. A lot of these precision guided missiles, it's like micro milliseconds. I mean, you need to, because example for those Stinger missiles, the target is constantly moving. There has to be constant millisecond evaluation. So in fact, if anything, that speed is not fast enough. If anything, it will be in the gigabits or the gigabytes for it to actually meet the speed. You mentioned a doctor who's able to monitor someone's heart from around the world. Every precious second counts. So it's not even fast enough. If anything, it needs to be faster. So you're seeing it from the lens of a consumer in a domestic setting. It's an overkill. Yes, you don't need 600 MB for anything. However, if you're looking at it from a commercial point, when it comes to lives, when you're talking about ambulances, getting coordinates, all these things, real-time stats, real-time information, when it comes to government security, border management, you're coming to surveillance systems, you're watching footage from here, how fast can it be relayed back, so on and so forth, latency. When you talk about two-way communication, in terms of taking a button, the data being sent, and the response being given back, all these things, they're very, 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 very important when it comes to everyday life. And that's the growth of our communication technology. A. B, requirement and necessity. The car that I own, you're able to start the car and warm it up and all these things from your watch or from your phone. However, that car is a 2015 model, and the car came equipped with 3G. Now, here in America, since we are on 5G, they've taken down 3G towers. So that functionality of my car is no longer there. Now, thank God it's just a car. What if there was other more needed infrastructure that would need me to go and invest and buy more, because now 3G towers are no longer a thing? Because you have to understand, how long will they keep the 3G towers when there's 4G, when there's 5G, when there's 6G? So at some point, because of compliance, we will have to move. We will have to grow. So other than the benefit of giving the speeds, it's also hard for them to maintain and manage these towers that are one day going to become obsolete. So, like, to answer your question, other than just the element of speed, there's the element of necessity. There's certain needs. When technology grows, we're having new airplanes are going to land at our airport. New cars are going to come. New ways to build, new ways to run businesses that are going to need the requirements, the speed, the efficiency of 5G, 6G as we grow. And that's going to force us to upgrade, whether we think it's needed or not.
Oh, wow. Well, we can't wait for this technology to come in, but looking at the growth in Africa, it looks like most of other worlds have moved to 5G like long time ago, while we are trying to, now at this point is when we are trying to catch up with them. Maybe there is somewhere they are already doing research and development of the 6G, and we are just trying to figure out how 5G works. Then we will get there at some point. Then we have our last topic, which is cybersecurity. I mean, we've been, this is one of the concerns, and we have addressed it when you're looking at the IoT devices, looking at how secure are they, and now we are now online also, we have become much more insecure. I was just trying to test something just earlier today, just to figure out how easy is it someone to figure out your location, where you are today, without even using sophisticated devices. And I was testing with one of an example of a site which is called Grabify, I think it's called Grabify. Let me just open it. And that site is just, it creates you are able to get change videos, maybe a YouTube link through that Grabify, and then you can send it to that link on WhatsApp to someone, and when someone clicks on that link, you can actually start tracking their location. Maybe I can send this to you and see how easy it is. I don't know whether it's you might be on a secure network with VPNs, but let me send it to your WhatsApp, and then you can actually click on it and we see how easy it is. I've sent it to your WhatsApp. You just need to click on it. I don't know whether you're probably using the phone, right?
Yep, I clicked on it.
You have clicked on it? Okay, let's figure out how easy it is to just get to know somebody's location. So I have I know it says it has been opened by Apple iPhone, then iOS 16.3, and it says it's in United States somewhere known as Shakopee. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep, Shakopee, Minnesota. That's correct.
Wow, you can imagine. Let me try to okay, let me share the screen so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm just imagining if this is how easy it is. It's internet security has become an issue. Let me share the entire screen. Okay, so you can see this obviously, right? Can you see that? So this is your IP address. Does it make sense to you?
Yep.
Okay, let me copy that. I need to find whether I can find your coordinates using geobytes. Geobytes is just a website to find coordinates of people. Let me move this up to there. Then go to IP address locator, and then I paste that there. Probably submit. Well, it's not really giving me the necessity coordinates which I need, probably because the internet service provider has many. So you can testify this is your IP address, right?
Yep.
So I mean, someone with this kind of IP address can be able to track you to the nearest location where you are in. These coordinates, I'm very sure they will not give me your location completely, because they're directing me to New York, which is not the right place I need. But I've come across certain, maybe with an advanced IP locator, you might get a precise location. Looking at that, this one, it actually gave me the Shakopee, which is it's a county in Minnesota, right? Or what is it?
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's a county, yes.
yeah. So you can imagine, with all this kind of let me stop sharing. With all this kind of the internet sharing data, how easy is it someone to track you to the nearest location where you are in, just without even using an expensive technology? And people being we are very comfortable. People are very reckless online nowadays. They really don't protect themselves. They have not used they don't even apply several layers of authentication. We have all these kind of people. You keep on seeing people have lost accounts. The dark web is so active. People are really making money out there selling Twitter accounts, which they have been able to steal. So how what do we do? What is the and I know this is much, actually this kind of cybersecurity is much more rampant in US compared here in Africa. You know what happens here in Africa or in Kenya? People actually don't speak about it. If a bank has been hit by hackers, they actually keep quiet because they don't want to lose customers. I don't want to wake up and find my bank, which I bank with, it has gone online and they said, guys, we have been hacked. The next thing I'll do is just run to my bank and get the money which is remaining before the hackers come back and steal it. So that is one way of protecting. They actually get hit so much. Here in Kenya, people get hit by hackers so much. Companies, they get hit. Financial institutions, even all the kinds of education institutions, and they keep quiet. They actually keep quiet so that they don't want to talk about it. But I find it's in US, people, they announce, they have to tell their clients that, you know, if in any case we have been attacked, some people have been able to access our data, and non-people have been able to access our data, and we are working to restore the services, so that if someone was to able to see their data out there on the internet, they don't start questioning how did that data get to the internet. So is there any transparency when it comes to this kind of attacks? Again, are we secure? I know that question is very difficult. Everybody, if you ask people how secure are you on the internet, they will laugh. They will be actually imagining that they are not secure, but they are they actually very reckless online. People are very reckless. They don't apply those tools that secure their data, so that you avoid your account, social media accounts, being hijacked by people, online people. People get to, like the same way I've sent you that message. I'm very sure if I send it, because you trust me, even you open it. But if you get it from someone else, you don't know, you will be questioning what link is this, what does it do, what this. People don't read between the lines. They don't look at why is this person sending me this. Or people send links in the group on WhatsApp and people go and click. You don't know what you have clicked. Someone might have already gained access to your device and they are collecting a lot of data while you don't even know. So how do we prepare ourselves? Because we are growing in terms of technology. I believe in Africa we're still growing. Maybe in the US people have already gotten to where they wanted to go with technology. But in Africa, here in Kenya, many people are still growing into that technology. We are expanding. It's one thing that is growing at very rampant rate. So, but people still need to know, are we protected? Can we wake up one day and you find your accounts are gone, and you know you have done everything that you're supposed to do?
So, first of all, the I have a VPN on my phone, and that's why I threw it to New York because I've set it up
Oh,
to route my IP through New York.
okay, I
So
see.
I'm glad that worked. But technically, had I not had it routed through New York, of course, it would have gotten my location. So I'm glad to see it worked. B, when it comes to cybersecurity, uh, there's nothing as important as awareness and education, because the biggest cybersecurity threat is you, is the user.
Yeah,
Uh, I want to say rarely are hackers 100% self-driven. A lot of times, for example, they'll send you a link, you'll click it, they'll impersonate you, there'll be all types of ransomware. And a lot of the times, 80% of the tools they have to attack you, you gave them, or that information you provided. So here in America, I can't say we're more secure, but there's a lot more awareness. For example, certain insurance agencies, when insuring businesses against cybersecurity attacks, they make it a requirement that companies take courses and employees take cybersecurity courses within the company. They enforce them. They make them take trainings, because why would we insure a company that's doing has taking no measure? Because no matter how much insurance you get, if your employees are clicking every single thing, the insurance company is going to keep on paying. So if they make it a point of making the employees educated, know what does this threat look like? Because if you don't know what a threat looks like, then you don't know what security looks like, because you're not aware of what can be out there. You're not aware of ransomware, spyware, malware, phishing, all these things that brute force. And therefore, to answer your question, one thing I do see in these sides of America is the implementation of active, resilient education on any level, from schools to corporations to wherever you go. And the advancements of technologies such as MFA, which is multi-factor authentication, two-step authentication, geographic-based authentication, where you have to be at a certain place, using serial keys or so on and so forth, where you have to have a key or a USB device to access certain types of information. And so, as much as, and all these things are in a bid to protect you and secure you. However, my personal thing in cybersecurity is, you're as only as secure as yourself. It doesn't matter how much technology you invest in. If you're not secure, if you're putting your public information on any single place you go, if you're going to unsecured sites, if you are even reckless with some of the letters you get, the mail that have your address information, find appropriate ways to shred it or dispose of it. When you get a letter from an institution, find a way to dispose it in that information cannot be received or used by anybody. So, for me, the biggest part of cybersecurity is the human part. And I feel like if you're able to do your part and train, I think you can say you're about 70% secure. The other 30, you know, that's something else.
that's actually well explained. I was actually imagining that we are the problem. We users, we are the people who are so reckless there, and we have probably the affirmative actions needs to be done to educate people, because every time we people you these institutions across the universe, they employ people. You might be a doctor or you might be a nurse. You'll be employed in hospital which is advanced in
Mm.
technology. There is the data which is collected.
Yep.
That data, and actually I've just come to notice most of the areas which have been hit recently is hospitals. You find that you as a nurse, you just walk in and you have a credential, be given credentials to log in to the computers, just to do formal job. Like there's a module that you are dealing with, but beyond that module there's a whole complex of the system that it has clients data, and also medical data, which is it is very wrong to wake up one day and you find your medical data has been put online somewhere. That is something which is, and then it
Mm.
comes back as, when they track back to figure out what happened, they figure out you as a person, you are the person who created that breach. So people needs to be trained. I know some I know a scenario where a hospital employee just bought a flash disk from when she was going to work, just getting to the work. Someone is selling flash disks outside there, and this person targeted this lady particularly. Just he was not selling flash disk, he was actually targeting this lady, and the flash disk was a good deal. Oh, she thought, this is a good deal, let me just buy. She buys flash disk and goes to the work with it, and then puts the flash disk in the computers in the office. Little did she know that flash disk was, it had a malware inside, and all of a sudden within 24 hours they lost access to the systems. And this was a multinational hospital. And then now you have ransomware,
Wow.
which has been planted into your systems, and these people are calling you, telling you, just guys, pay us this amount of money, we release your data. That is the impact that we have. You might not be, it might be innocent thing you have done, but people need to be trained that they should not be just carrying any devices they put in their computer, devices that they don't even know where it has come from. Or they click on the links, any links that have been sent. Even if it has been sent using the company email, you have to look at this link very well. Someone is sending kindly. I get these emails throughout in my office that a student email has been compromised somewhere, and then this person is sending links, which is they are coming as if it's an ICT department telling you need to update your account. So they give you a link to click on it. So if you click on that link, obviously something is going to be implanted in your computer. You don't know what it is. So people need to be trained that you don't just be very fast to click any links you see. This person has never sent you a link. The account has been compromised. It looks like it's coming from ICT, but it's not coming from ICT. If you look at the details, it is actually somebody's account, which is just written title ICT department. So we just need to be very careful. We are the people who actually create this kind of, we give these guys very easy access because we are careless. We just actually, that guy can actually strategize how they're going to get in the system, and they will get into the system very easy without hacking. See, people call it hacking, but they have strategically planted a device in your office so that they can access, and you actually willingly took that device to the office. They did not, nobody robbed you, nobody forced you to put it. So I think the best thing is to educate people. Because unless we go back to 1900 where we were using things manually, these technologies, they are going to be there and we have to use them. So if they are there, we have to learn how to use them without creating harm to anybody else. Well, bro, I really appreciate you for the insight you have given. You have gained a lot of experience from being in Kenya. You have been in Kenya, you have actually run a company here in Kenya, which was an ICT company. And then you have gone to US, you are working in an IT company. So you have broader experience. People say learning on the job actually is much more impacting than going to class and studying that thing. When you are in the ground and doing these things is when you learn how sensitive they are and what impact they have on us as human beings. So I really appreciate you for spending that 1 hour for this interview. We have actually finished 1 hour, and I want to thank you for availing yourself beyond to your capabilities.
Thank you.
Because I know you're supposed to be at work, but you managed to spare that 1 hour for this kind of discussion. So it was a discussion, it was not really an interview, because these are things that we deal with. We just need to know what they do, how are we supposed to interact. These technologies are coming. Even if they are not here, they will come someday. So thank you very much. Wow.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having Morris. Yeah.